If only light can drive out darkness, this bus is a beacon of sorts, carrying a dark history lesson that feels more present by the day. Many of these children don't know about the Holocaust, too young, too removed from that point in time, and yet exposed to the increasing normalization of the hatred that led to it. Principal Jennifer Deisman says it's why she asked the bus to come to her school.
The fear is that students will be immersed in that sort of information and again, hate information. And if we as an educational system don't do something to combat that, then the normalization will continue and it'll just be something that they think is okay and right and the way it is.
Come on in, take a spot wherever you like.
The goal for the Tour for Humanity is to go to smaller rural communities that can't easily come to Toronto.
There's no stop too big or too small, because then that's the only way that we actually learn from Simon Wiesenthal and from his legacy, that it wasn't a Jewish story, it was a human story.
Daniela Lurion is an educator with the Simon Wiesenthal Center for Holocaust Studies.
We are a human rights organization, which means we fight against hate, discrimination, antisemitism, racism, bullying.
The group is named after a Holocaust survivor who later became a well-known Nazi hunter. Wiesenthal's story tells the bigger one.
Simon was also judged and treated badly because of who he was and where he came from. Hitler and the Nazis, they had some really bad ideas because they believed that some people were better than others. They believed anyone who was Jewish was considered to be bad. Millions of people.
Lurion has given hundreds of these presentations before, but these days it feels more pressing.
Why is it more important than ever to do this kind of education?
I think it's critical because unfortunately hate has become mainstream. You know, all you have to do is look at social media and entertainers that have platforms that reach millions of people.
All the more critical because there are gaps in Holocaust awareness among Canadians. A 2018 survey found more than a fifth of people aged 18 to 34 hadn't heard of the Holocaust, and that more than half of all Canadians didn't know the extent of the genocide. Meanwhile, a record number of nearly 2,800 anti-Jewish hate crimes were tracked last year, including vandalism of synagogues and swastikas in schools.
Okay.
Pinchas Gutter is a Holocaust survivor. He says the more common the attacks become, the more callous they seem.
To me, it is like, you know, it's like a knife cutting into me. You know, this is how I feel.
Gutter survived several concentration camps. Most of his family didn't. He lived with nightmares for decades and then became a Holocaust educator.
Yeah, I am a duty. To me, this is a duty. I do it because I have to do it. It's my duty to try and bring about a tiny drop of improvement in the way the world is working, even if it's just a tiny one. In '67, I spoke.
Gutter says he urges students to become bearers of light too.
I want you to carry this torch. I want you to hand it to your families. I want you to hand it to your friends, and I want you to light up the world with the flames of these goodwills of no racial discrimination, and no religious discrimination, and no homophobia, no xenophobia, and hatred. Above all, no hatred.
Gutter is helping shape the story elsewhere as well.
Here we are.
Dara Solomon and Rachel Libman are leading the development of a new Holocaust museum set to open in June. It will feature survivor stories.
There are various film experiences that we've curated for the visitors.
You know, we know from different studies and data that Holocaust education, the more people know about the Holocaust and these sort of extreme dangers of hate, the less likely they are to be inclined towards like neo-Nazi beliefs and other forms of hate. So we hope that the students that come here, they'll be able to do a deep dive into the study of the Holocaust.
Libman says the latest surge in hate points to the need for constant education.
I think we all thought that it went away, and it didn't. And I think it's a really important lesson for us to know that sometimes can't be too casual or too complacent in the work of Holocaust education, anti-racism education, making sure that we are sort of protecting those values and safeguarding against this type of atrocity from happening again.
Back in Sutton, the lessons continue all day, all ending the same way.
It's simple. Be kind. Do one positive thing. We have now to make that difference. So that's your job here. That's your task.
Later in the classroom, we asked students what that means to them.
How do you think you can be a hero?
Be kind.
What did you think of what you learned today?
Good, but I felt sad for Simon. Everyone should be able to help other people because just to be kind to them and not be mean and stop people with racism.
Every stop leaves behind more empathy, more education, and the knowledge, these days especially, that so much more is needed. Joanna Rumiliotis, CBC News, Sutton, Ontario.